Welcome everyone to a lunch and learn that's being hosted by the Louisiana Emergency Management, Disability and Aging Coalition. And this is our third lunch and learn. And we're really excited about the interest that we have seen in the participation in these lunch and learns. And hopefully that's indication that you are finding these lunch and learns beneficial. Today we have Michael Latino from Tarc, and he will be presenting on basically their emergency management plan, emergency preparation plan for their organization. And I'm not going to give any details of that. I'm going to let him give the details, but it really is a practical approach on how to plan effectively for disasters or emergency participation. Just so you know, we will, they'll be presenting for about 30 minutes. We'll take a 10-minute break just to give our interpreters a break for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and complete the session. So if you haven't grabbed lunch yet, you will have a few minutes, in about 30 minutes, to be able to grab your lunch and then finish out this lunch and learn. And without further ado, I will let Michael begin his presentation.
Okay, thank you, Bambi. I'll just start off and we'll go right into it because I know we're on time. I'll say fortunately and unfortunately, we had to use. Fortunately, we had one in place. Unfortunately for the storm, but we did learn from it and how to revise it. And work out some of the little things that we overlooked. I did forward Bambi a copy of our plan. Naturally, we left out our clients' names, but feel free to use it, follow it. We're gonna, after we come back from the break, we're gonna open it up for questions, but it's gonna be sent to you after, along with my phone number. Feel free to call. So it's I'm very proud of it because we have gotten a lot of recognition for it. Like I said, that's not always something to be proud of hurricane, but because we were able to assist so many clients and our families by having this in place, really to our advantage. So I love being able to share that so we can help others. I have Ms. Rashonda Keith with me. She is she is our CSS director, and Rashonda was actually on the evacuation team in charge of it. I was on the home front dealing with the ones that stayed behind and logistics of the storm. So we'll go right through it, and we'll, some of it we're going to kind of go fast because it's just basic information of your organization or whatever you're putting together. So we can go to the second page is the contact information. This, all of our staff, who's leaving, who's staying behind, both of our nurses actually, and then important phone numbers of our DSPs. That's the ones that actually stay in the homes with the clients. And then all of our Louisiana State Park information that we contact as well. I just spoke with Mr. Brandon 2 days ago, and we're on track to be ready for the next evacuation should we have to. The next page is with our evacuation plan. We're not guaranteed any of these state parks. However, we are guaranteed one of them. So if you see the highlighted, that's just the three we picked. But we made arrangements going back, probably we started this in March of each year to have it all in place by June 1st. So like I said, don't let the highlight mislead you. That's just ones we highlighted that we would like to be that our first, second, or third choice. However, we're going to go by what's available. All of them are great parts. It just depends. That's part of your plan as to how many's evacuating, to make sure the logistics and everything's in place for when you get there. For us, from handicap wheelchairs to kitchen availability, showers, how close is the local washateria. Those are things that we mapped when we picked these parks to make our logistics better.
And just to chime in, it's best to speak with Mr. Brandon about these camps because it's still fast. During the hurricane, it was a lot of people looking for places to go. So ahead of time, if it's possible, to see if you could pick one and kind of be in line for a place to go.
Yeah, and like when I was talking to Brandon on yesterday, it's good to the way I approached it with him. When a storm gets in the Gulf, whether it's a tropical depression, hurricane, whatever, I make the phone call. We don't have it in, well, I think we do have it in here. We used to have it where it was category 2, but as we know, overnight, they can automatically go to a category 3. So we did change that to now, as soon as it's projected to become category 1, we're leaving. We make our plan active and it goes into play, because we don't have that luxury. If we've got to drive 4 hours, in 4 hours, it could be a hurricane 2. It could shift to the east, west. We don't know, so we just go ahead and put the plan in place as soon as it becomes, if we're in the track, we're leaving. So just to let you know on that, but I would contact, and wherever you may be, if you have a different park or area, I would contact them as soon as you see one in the Gulf. Okay, we can go to the next page.
Michael, we had someone ask about rotating the screen, but just want everyone to know this is a PDF that's going to be sent to everyone. So this really is a packet. So you'll have a hard copy once you get that copy and can look at it a little bit better. Yes,
and like I said, the blacked out ones, that's just because we already have them filled out with our participants' names. Change that. I wanted to include it so that way you can see the order of how we put it together, because we are responsible for, if the ones staying at home, then they have to go with their families. So we do have some things in place, and that's more of Tarc guidelines based on your agency. Then that's something then you could address. And yes, we will be, Bambi has the whole package, and y'all will, every page that we have in our binder, y'all will receive, with the exception of the names. The next page is our roll call for our clients and our DSPs, direct support for professionals, that will be accompanying our clients and our staff on our evacuation. So that's our roll. We have a couple of pages for roll call, but okay, we can go to the supply list. We put this together, and we made some additions after Hurricane Ida to make sure that we bring all the necessary things. If we plan for a 4-day, 3 or 4 days. If it goes longer, then we adjust while we're there, and we make plans to get the supplies we need. But we do ask them that actually a 7-day supply of clothing. One little thing we learned is we asked the homes to pack for the clients their shampoo, but they only have enough shampoo in the bottle for 1 day. So we put this supply list we actually put in place in our homes. They don't touch it. It's labeled in a Rubbermaid container, and it says hurricane evacuation. So, and these items go into that, and they do not touch it until until the season's over. Then we let them use the product. They use all the stuff, and then come March, April, we start redoing again for next year. So this will just kind of give you an idea of what to bring. We do transfer them by bus, so everybody can't bring ice chests. We have made arrangements. We supply sheets, towels, stuff like that. but it's a pretty good list of what we need. And because we are on 2 buses, we try to make sure we have enough room for everyone. And some of them have walkers or wheelchairs, so we have to watch how we pack. And we also rent a van as well to carry food items and stuff like that. Next page is it's your same thing. It's your supply box list, and that we have a check off list that we'll start actually have already started going into the homes. Our supervisors go and they check every participant that will be evacuating. We check this as well. So like I said, you will be receiving this. Add to it. Look, you know, each agency or business will know what they have to have. This list can be edited every time.
And I just want to chime in also. The medication is very important. As soon as we find out that we're getting ready to go, we don't know how long we will be there, but we ask that a 30-day supply that for the medication for the clients, because like I said, we don't know how long we'll be there, and that would give us additional time to order more meds if we're there longer than what we need to be. So as soon as you know that you're going, someone just start to get the medication. We could get other things on the way, but the medication is one thing that we want to make sure that we have ready to go.
Yes, and once you decide on where you're going to, we looked up the local pharmacy, contact our pharmacy, and make sure that we could, like Sterling, we contacted them to make sure the pharmacy that was the closest to us, we could get their prescriptions filled. That part actually went pretty smooth. And we didn't have that. We had in our initial plans the meds naturally, but we didn't have that step of contacting them to where they could put the prescriptions in to another pharmacy that we were near. So that was something we added, which, like I said, we learned from our first plan. We made some renditions to it to make sure we didn't miss anything.
And the hurricane supply box list, that's something that you guys could keep in the home in case we're without lights and it's not a hurricane and we're out of lights for a couple of days, to make sure that the clients have everything they need in the home. And this is something that stays packed unless we need like the flashlights or the radio, the water, they'll have the adequate things in their home, and we can't get out if it's not a hurricane. So that's another important thing. If you want to have like a emergency hurricane supply box in your home for your clients.
Okay, we can move. And like I said, we're going to have the questions when we come back from break. The first responders requirements.
Some of our requirements that we need, that we brought with us, it was air mattress. That was for our DSPs. We had enough room for our clients, and just in case it wasn't enough, we got the air mattress for the DSP to sleep on, twin bed, whichever one is available, electricity, the air conditioning. We provided the meals. We provided transportation to and from the facility, washcloth and towels, sheets, and we also provided pay to all the DSPs at regular time until 40 hours. Once they hit the 40 hours, time and a half for all work for 40 hours in a past week. You will also need your personal items listed on a hurricane evacuation supply list. We ask that everyone bring a pillowcase, blanket, a very small ice chest that holds maybe 6 to 8 soft drinks for your personal treats. It's optional if they wanted to bring like an unmarked travel mug for consuming items such as they won't be drinking in front of the clients, and if they don't have. Everyone is expected to assist wherever they are needed. What we did was we got a list together and we separated the chores. Everyone was encouraged to participate in cleaning, the cooking, assisting with serving the meals, washing clothes, whatever you saw you could be a team player at, everyone joined in, and that made everything so much better. We reported to the designated location, and everyone gathered everything we need to set up to make everything comfortable. We then reported to the location for the bus loading. We was prepared to stay for at least 5 days, and all DSPs will allow 1 suitcase and 1 backpack only due to the storage space availability.
Yeah, and one thing that I think it's later in the packet, but I think it's in there. Also, once we got the cabin, we contacted the local authorities, sheriff's office, police, and let them know that we were there and why we were there naturally, and then in what type of services. And the reason I'm suggesting this is once we did that, the outreach of the community was unbelievable. Organizations were cooking dinners. We had a couple of clients that I think they were having a birthday, so they sent a band over to perform one night. And I was going to save this till the end, but I think that's why Bambi put it on there whenever we were in Lake Charles. But the satisfaction for me as the director of Tarc is that when our clients came back, they literally thought they were on vacation. I teased with our staff that they were, but they weren't. They worked. But that is the success of this, is that they did not know that, that back home we were in 100+ mile-an-hour winds and no electricity and all these things. But it was the outreach of the community, that one phone call to the sheriff's department. Well, I say one, letting them know we were there, and why, the structure of our organization for disabilities, the outreach was unbelievable. So I do encourage that, wherever you end up, wherever you decide or you have to go, make that extra step of letting them know why you're there and where you're from. And we're all great people when things come, emergencies happen, and they really reached out to us. As far as bus prep, that's on us. You can save that if y'all do transfer by buses or anything, but that's kind of self-explanatory. We have seating charts based on their needs and our seat, our drivers and everything. We have a big bus, small bus, and then, like I said, we rent a van. Whatever we can't get on the bus, or all the food or water that we send for those first week, we rent a van, and we also use it for running around. Once we're on the evacuation, it's a little smaller vehicle, and we can a few of the staff can go run to a Walmart or grocery store and get the necessary supplies. So that's our bus transportation and assignments. We can go on to room and sleeping. As you see, we have a girl side, and once again, this was once we didn't have this going there because we didn't know the cabin, what the outlay was. I will say that most of them are very similar when you get to over a certain number of attendants sleeping. A lot of them they're real similar. So this may not be the particular layout for the cabin we get this year, but it gives us an idea, because after talking with Brandon, that they're all real similar once you get over a certain amount. But we even have that broken down as to which supervisors naturally are going to stay with the girls, which ones are going to stay with the boys. And then based that we know our clients, that's how we sort them into their bunks. This is just a little side, the staff only, because the kitchen area or certain areas, we bring signs with us when the restrooms are occupied, or when it's for their shower schedule, different things. So we went ahead and printed up a few signs that we can take with us. So that if you see that many copies, that's not a misprint. We just printed them so we could have a few for when we get there. We go in and we make out their bathroom shower schedules because even though the rooms may be separated, the bathrooms are still general admission, so to speak. So we do schedule times for when the males are going to be able to, and when the females. We also have the medication responsibilities. Usually the staff knows the client, but if not, we have the supervisor theirs. We each have their binder with their medications as to what times and what they're taking. We have all that scheduled out before we step foot on the bus. So when we get there, their names are labeled on each med bag, and it makes it a lot easier to get them what they need, and we're not scrambling trying to sort out prescriptions while you're on the way to a cabin. So that's part of the medication. We went ahead, we had this in place, and unfortunately we didn't know we were going to be there for almost 24 days.
Mhm.
We planned on 5 to 7 and come back, but and one thing I'm going to mention while we're at that, that's not in our plan, I did secure a line of credit so that my supervisor, we went ahead and got a line of credit with a credit card that is locked up at the office. When the hurricane evac comes, that card is only used for evacuation. There's nothing else on it. And I secured a 10,000 line for me, 10,000 for the CSS director, and then some of the assistant directors, they have 5,000. So total, we secured about $30,000 on different cards with our name on it. So that way, should we have to go longer and need to do a Walmart run or whatever, they're not trying to contact me, Mr. Michael, we're out of money. We only, I have no more money, so we tried to, that was something we didn't have. We had credit cards, but the way the timing of the storm, we had to leave so abruptly that we might have had a $5,000 limit, but it was only 500 available. So we went a step further and produced a line of credit strictly for this emergency. So with that said, back to the meals, we mapped it out, and this is I have a local distributor, S&W Wholesale Foods. I buy items in bulk, and we sent them with all of this on the van to allow for their, so when they got there, in case the storm did follow up north and for whatever reason, they had enough food to where they didn't have to go anywhere upon getting to the cabin for at least a few days. So that was part of our meal schedules. Then now I'm not going to go through all of it, but this is something we made based on our clients. We did the inventory for 5 days. So we tried to pick some different meals to where, you didn't have chicken tenders every day. So we did do an assortment, and this was unfortunately it was a team building, because once we had clients interacting that wanted to wash dishes, wanted to be a part of the cooking the meals. So that made it a lot. There was a lot of interaction. The next step is the office staff not evacuating. We have duties here. This is something that was added after Ida, that we have responsibilities to their homes still. Things we learned of, we lost electricity here, not thinking that the clients are in North Louisiana and their refrigerators were full of food. After about 3 days, we're like, we're going to go check on the homes. Well, we walk in the home, and not to go into great detail, but you open a refrigerator after 3 or 4 days, so we went a step further to add that into our plan. Before they leave, we have to throw it away. We're taking the food out, the items we leave. If it don't fit in the freezer, it can't be frozen. Items in the freezer, we take the items out and we put them in trash bags. That way the blood would, from the food and different, when it does defrost, we go in there, we take the trash bag out, we throw it in the dumpster. because I had staff here, including myself. We're trying to clean refrigerators and do all of this. So all of these items are for the office staff that's not evacuating, but we're still working. That kind of goes into that. And then we have our assignments for after the storm passed, to get the safe return of our clients. We had an assembly line the day before the buses are coming back, and we put the basic foods back in their homes. We made sure they had bread, milk, all the food groups, something when they got home, they could eat. We didn't want them to miss a beat. So we didn't have it as part of our plan written, but that's what we did. So we added it to our plan. So when all our clients returned to their homes, they all had fresh milk, bread, hamburger, whatever we put together, sandwich stuff. We had that ready. We made sure their homes were safe. So there is a lot to do, even though we're not the ones evacuating. And at this time, we were all still dealing with personal issues. So it does take a team to do this. At the time with Tarc, I was dealing with 3 trees on my house and my second floor demolished. But this is where a plan comes into place. The staff, we were able to make things happen. So always keep in mind that just because they're evacuating and we're not, it doesn't mean that everything's fine here. So with that said, we put a plan in place for what to do during the storm, prior to, during, and then upon the return. So I know we're getting close to the break, so I'm gonna see where we're at on the stopping off point. But then on the evac team, we have the team member duties prior to and while they're there, because as you know, when you have a structure, it goes a lot easier. Because I always think back to my mom when she used to always use the saying, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. So, but when you have something in place and they all see this before we leave, they already have this. So they already have an idea, which is good because you can hear them as our staff and we're talking. Well, I'm going to take this on. I'm going to take this on. I'll do that, and I'll get some of the clients and other staff to help. So it does make it for, a relatively smooth transition to living in a cabin for a few weeks. We did bring, believe it or not, there are still washaterias that do not take debit card or cash. So I thought I thought of that ahead of time, and I sent them with $120 in quarters, but it wasn't enough. So we send them with some petty cash for each client. That's their money. And then we send $300 in quarters because you never know which one you have to go to. That's just some of the pointers, but you get an idea of member duties. And like I said, each agency knows their staff, and this isn't concrete. Add the duties that you need to make it the way that works best for your organization. And then, like I said, the next page is for the DSPs of what their responsibilities are, which is pretty much the same as when they're in the homes with them, but just a little more detailed because we are in a big group, in a big room, but they had a deck area, and there was a lot of things that you could be part of the group, or if you wanted to go on the deck, there was 3 or 4 of them that were brought fishing. There was 2 or 3 that wanted to assist with going into town and making the Walmart run. So like I said, we mapped it out. Nothing's etched in stone, but it's a guideline for them to get an idea of what their responsibilities are. The next page is, I know it's blacked out, but that's our SIL homes. These are the staff staying behind and the responsibilities that we do to make, to check on their homes. Naturally, once we know we're safe And then we go and we start the process of checking the homes, refrigerators, things that I had discussed. The caseload, that's a breakdown of which supervisors are going to handle which clients and their homes. Like I said, it's blacked out, but that's just because of names. But this is our 3 directors / supervisors. Instead of one trying to deal with all of it, we broke it down to their homes. And being that we also have a day hab facility, we're not responsible for them after they leave the day hab, but they still are our clients. So we make sure we reach out to all of our day hab participants and their families and get an update, who evacuated, how's it going? Do you need anything? You still have electricity? So this is more that we want to keep track of everybody. So that would be for our day hab center contact list. And let's see if we can squeeze it in here. Then we have the group text. This is for our scheduler. She starts, we have it on group text because we did find that even, as we learned from Katrina, cell phones got better this round. So it is a lot of texting. So just to kind of not to bombard her with trying to come up with, oh, what text do I send out? What do I do? We made a list of the time of her text messages, what's going on, how they need to approach it. And instead of her trying to put together a text to send out, we basically made a cheat sheet. So, but it's valuable because, as y'all know, time is not always on your side. Because and then we had a list of our so that everybody showed up at the same time with all their luggage. We broke it down as to what bus we were loading first, who was what clients and DSPs were going to be on that bus. So then we scheduled it, and also so we could check to make sure they brought the right items. And at that time is when we also checked their meds. So I know it sounds a lot of repetitive, but we learned from it, because the last thing I want to do is assume. We assumed people brought shampoo, soap, deodorant. In a way they kind of did, but not enough to last a day. So there is a lot of double checking, is because when you put this together in March, and it's hopefully it doesn't happen, but it's August 15th that you have to be you're not thinking, oh, I checked all their meds, I did, and plus that's not the meds they're getting. So we do double check and triple check. And one thing I for those who met Carly in Lake Charles, I asked Carly yesterday, we were about to copy her, and we were talking about the plan and about the meeting today, and I said, Carly, I said, if I get notification that we have to evacuate Friday, are we ready to go? And she said, yep, we're ready. So as a director, you always like that confidence. So that overall is pretty much our plan. So Bambi, if you want to take a break and open it up for questions, but like I said, everybody will be receiving this and modified and edited to meet what you have to do.
Thank you, Michael. We'll take a 10-minute break, but in the meantime, during the break, if you guys have questions, please put them in the question and answer, the Q&A. And if you would like to be moved over to panelists to be able to ask your question, you could raise your virtual hand. And we'll also be putting some information in the chat about future lunch and learns. So we'll see you all back at 12:45. You can stay on the meeting, but we'll start talking again at 12:45. Okay, Michael, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we have a few questions. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the question and answer, or you can raise your virtual hand and we'll promote you to panelist so you could ask your question directly. But Michael, if you would just go back just for clarity for everyone, you guys are located in Tangipahoa Parish, correct?
That is correct.
And
And
can you tell us about you kind of touched on it, but your arrangement with the state parks, and that's a very interesting use of our state resources. So can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes, definitely. It actually stemmed from Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. We had him as a guest speaker for our annual meeting, which was at the time with COVID and everything, we switched it to a breakfast. And upon talking with him after, we talked about our hurricane plan. We used to use our day hab facility was actually our evacuation spot, and we would get hospital beds and try to make the room, try to figure that out. But so as we were talking, he actually brought up about, he's like, well, we got state parks, and that, why not, if, how many are y'all talking about? I said, well, we said it could be 25, could be 60. It depends on the clients and everything. And so we made the contact with Brandon Burris. He's over the Louisiana State Parks, and Lieutenant Billy Nungesser made the initial call that we were going to be contacting him. And then that's when we worked out the arrangement, and he sent the list of the parks, and we just kind of narrow. Like I said, we highlighted when we got back, because we actually, different staff members on just like vacations or whatever have actually visited some of them. So they were like, oh yeah, we need to, go there. So that's how the state parks came to be. I mean, we still pay for it. We do get a very good discounted rate coming from the governor's office. But that's how it originated. If you have not knowing everybody's area of where you're at, if you can make that initial contact and mention what you're looking to do. And I know another agency not too far away from us. They've already followed suit with it. They've already made the contact. I've already sent them our plan. And I think I got an email about 2 weeks ago. They're set. But after talking with Brandy, they're not going to kick people out. If they have, if you want a particular park, they're not going to make people leave that have already paid for it. But we are going to find an area to go. We were fortunate with Ida that it was one big cabin that held everybody. I think they used it for conferences and different things. But it could be a combination of several cabins. That's why we try to make sure we have enough staff and they sign a participant letter in March, April, May, as soon as we're putting this together, that they plan on going. So we tell them, make your arrangements for home. We're counting on you to be part of the evac team. And because we may not get a cabin that holds 35, 40 people, we may end up with 4 cabins that hold 10. So we kind of base it, but they're going to try their best to match you up to what your agency is. And once you make that initial dialogue and how many people you plan on evacuating.
Thank you, Michael. And Vicki Travis, who is the emergency manager in your parish, she asked a question about what is the capacity at the state parks, which you kind of touched on it. I guess is kind of, you don't really know, right?
Yeah, we don't. Like I said, it kind of based on what you're looking at, how many are evacuating. So I guess I did to say that we send this out to the families, especially if the clients are interdicted. We send this out and we try to get an idea of who's going, who's not going, and that goes for staff, like I said earlier. But from there, then that's when we start narrowing down, because this list of cabins actually came from Brandon, the 9 destinations, so to speak. And that's where we decided, based on which ones had the capacity for our group. Because like I said, I didn't know if we were going to have 10 or if we were going to have 25 or if we were going to have all 68, 70 clients. So yeah, we started ahead of time, and I think that's the best place to start. Kind of know what number you're looking at and who's actually going to be a part of this. That's the most deciding factor. And then seeing which ones adjust, and they'll be able to tell you. I mean, we got so much support. Is like, how close is the nearest Walmart? How close is the nearest hospital? Which I'm gonna let Rashonda touch on something that she mentioned during the break. So that'll be a part of it. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna let her do that now. If that answers that question. Because she touched on something very important that we do. It's not necessarily in the plan, other than a sentence, because then we already know what we have to do. But I'm gonna let her mention that right now.
Another vital piece of information while the participants are packing their items, to make sure that they bring their plan of care. The plan of care will include everything about the participant, the allergies, the medications, in case one of our participants have to be transported to the hospital. We actually faced that obstacle when we went, and they, was very happy to receive all the information about the client, so they know not what, if the client was allergic to this or if they had this problem. The insurance information and the plan of care, I will put that in my top priority when I'm bringing the participants again, in case they have to go to the hospital.
That's a great point. Thank you for sharing that.
Here.
We also had another question about, what if someone has one of your clients has a service animal or a pet? Have y'all had that experience, and how do you handle it?
We haven't had that experience, but it was asked. While asking about the cabins, they could ask if it's pet friendly. A couple of them were, we was told. So depends on where you're going, and maybe want to give that information ahead of time, that they could probably pair them with a pet friendly, facility for them to be at. Another option was, on our way there, they had some facilities that was taking care of them until we was on our way home. So that's another option if they don't have the pet friendly facilities there.
And I think what you're talking about at our state parks, some of the cabins, they allow for animals just for that, that reason, to be accessible, but also they have to have some cabins that don't have animals in it for those people who have allergies and that type of thing. So they have some designated, as both.
That's correct.
As either or, I should say. Yeah.
And also,
Okay.
and knowing, because like I said, some of our clients go, but their families stay here, whether it be New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Livingston, wherever, they stay here. So they may make the arrangements for the pet to stay with the family, and then the client goes on the evacuation. So that's also a possibility as well. Like I said, at the time when we evacuated, we had DSPs that had a couple of pets, but as far as our clients, they didn't. So that was part of it. And, I did want to mention, at that time I'm going to use a word here, I know nobody likes it, COVID. But because of that, it was hard for us to send replacements, because, you know, even for our staff, they have homes and family, and they wanted to come home. They wanted to do that. Our concern that we didn't allow it is that if we had somebody here and with everything we're doing, and COVID was still kind of at the time was, you know, was still ramping up a little bit. I didn't want to send people from that had been home trying to get gas and all the things we went through in Hammond to go up there and bring COVID into the cabin. So, but this year, and with the hopes of everything stays where that needs to be, we, over a certain amount of days, we're going to kind of start talking about maybe a relief team. If we have everything in place here, this is for staff. Clients are remaining where they're at. But that if it looks like it's going to be an extended amount of time, we're going to swap out some of the staff to let them come home and take care of their personal things that they have to as well.
Thank you. We have someone who asked for Vicki Travis if she would post her contact information. And I do know that all of our emergency managers, their contact information is on the GOSEP website. So if you look for the parish Office of Emergency Preparedness on the GOSEP website, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness website, you can find that information. And also, Tammy stated, so just for clarification, a legitimate task trained service animal will be allowed per ADA regulations. And that is correct, that all the state parks do allow that. They have, you know, the certain cabins identified so that they can accommodate for any ADA accommodations that they need, and can meet everyone's needs. Okay. So we do not have any other questions in our Q&A, but we definitely want to thank Tarc for their presentation. Found it very informative. We will follow up with everyone who's attended with an email with that the plan, as well as a recording of this session. And I put information during the break in the chat. I hope you all had a chance to look at that, about some future trainings and some other information that you might find useful. So thank you all. You have a great rest of your day and rest of the week.
Thank you. It was our pleasure.